Hi, Rachel Coombs from the Samaritans. Welcome to 10 by 6.
Thank you very much for having me.
Rachel is the fundraising project lead at Samaritans, and we're going to be focusing on a couple of things today. Firstly, we're looking at the Dawn Walk, which is coming up on the 18th of September.
That's right, yes.
And is it around the country? Is it a national thing?
It's a national virtual event. So that means wherever you are in the country, on Saturday, the 18th of September, you can take part and go for a 5 or a 10K walk wherever you are to see the sunrise.
Fantastic. And so the aim of that, of course, is for people to sign up, and any money that they raise then obviously to help contribute towards Samaritans generally as a charity.
Absolutely. So it's completely free to sign up. And then, yes, we would obviously encourage everybody to fundraise. There is no minimum fundraising target, though, so it's entirely what you can manage and achieve. And then all that money goes directly to the main national charity supporting all our services across the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland.
Fantastic. And how many branches of Samaritans are there across the country, and sort of how many volunteers, to the nearest maybe 10 that you have?
So we have 201 branches across the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland. And I believe it's 200,000 volunteers. So we really do have a huge number of very wonderful listening volunteers who dedicate their time and energy to support others.
Fabulous. And what sort of things do those volunteers do? What sort of roles do they take on?
Well, the majority of them are listening volunteers. And those listening volunteers do go through a training process to make sure that they are prepared and ready, and that they understand what their role and responsibility is, which is to listen without judgment rather than provide advice, so that when callers or people make contact, then they understand how to listen and be there for that person in their time of crisis. Fantastic.
In terms of the training, can you give us a little sort of few hints about what that training entails? I mean, how long it is, and if anybody wanted to get involved, how they could do so?
I know that there will be an awful lot of information on our website, but I don't know the ins and outs of all the training, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. In terms of the type of people that that ring in with a whole range of issues, are there certain groups that appear to be more vulnerable statistically than others, especially obviously around the idea of COVID and coming out of lockdown and people have been self-isolating? Is there any sort of specific groups of people at the moment that particularly concerned about?
I personally don't have any data on specific groups. I do know, obviously, that the pandemic really has been very difficult for an awful lot of people. And when someone was in a difficult time already, then perhaps they've been through an even harder time because of the pandemic. What I will say is that we haven't got any new statistics yet on, suicide rates have not shown to have gone up since we've got statistics up to about September 2020. So we're waiting on some new ones, but there hasn't been a spike or an increase necessarily in our services or people going through a crisis. It has just been a very difficult time for everyone, including our volunteers. So one of the things I'd really like to sort of praise are our volunteers, because they have been able to still man our lines 24/7, 365 days a year. They're also coping with working from home, isolation, and they've been getting to their branches and going in for their shifts and covering those lines, which has been absolutely tremendous.
Absolutely. Yeah. And is there anything sort of specifically that within the community that we can do for, to watch out for vulnerable people, or is it just about basically saying, here's the telephone number, please ring it? And the Samaritans, have they sort of done any sort of thing like chat lines, in terms of being able to just, type into a chat line and talk to somebody specifically? Is there any sort of those sort of services available?
Well, two things on that then. The first one is we have obviously our email and we have our phone line. Those are the two big ones. But people can also write to us and we have a self-help app. So those are the sort of four main ways. We are piloting a sort of online chat service, and because we're obviously always looking to improve and see different ways in which we can communicate with people. But that hasn't gone nationally yet. We're obviously making sure that that works, 100% brilliantly before we launch that out across the country. The second thing, and kind of what you were just mentioning there, is we actually have a campaign at the moment called Small Talk Saves Lives. And that really is about making small talk with someone. If there's something that has triggered your interest or your curiosity about why that person maybe has said something that they've said, or looked the way they looked, or something's changed in their demeanor, or complete stranger, just by approaching them and saying, would you like a cup of coffee, or having a chat and opening up that lines of communication, that is something that has proven to be very successful and is a great way of just reaching out to people.
Yes, thank you again. I guess with self-isolation and with sort of slight community breakdowns that we've seen in recent times, those opportunities, I mean, maybe like the old queuing up at the post office for your pension was always a place where the older people could always share information and gossip and identify people who weren't there that week and maybe drop in on home. So those sort of things have not gone necessarily, but sort of collapsed a little bit. So that's wonderful advice, Rachel. And what would be your last message in terms of those people who do feel that they need to reach out? I mean, what would be that last thing that you would say to them?
That we're here to listen without judgment, and to not reach that crisis point before reaching out. We are here 24/7, 365 days a year. There is somebody there that can pick up the phone or answer a letter or download the self-help app. There is a way to reach us where somebody will be able to listen and hear you. And finally, on the reason we're doing Dawn Walk, is obviously to raise funds to enable all these services to take place. And one of the things that we really love about Dawn Walk is that whether you're walking in Dorset or Scotland or Wales or Southend, you can still connect with people on our Facebook group. You can, if you have a relative that wants to walk Dawn Walk, you could be walking at the same time, and technology allows you to communicate with them while you're walking. So you could be walking solo, but together. And just being outside in nature does wonders for your mental health and well-being. And we really want to advocate that with this event.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for coming on 10 by 6. Really, really appreciate this. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much.